Alright, so I did do an offensive video about a week back, but it's only right I do defense. Now, defense is probably the hardest it's been in Madden history, especially at this time during the year. There's not many blitzes, there's not many, defenses that are really, really good, but I'm going to show you guys a few formations and a few tips and tricks and new features that can better your chance at getting stops in Madden 26. Now, the playbook that I do like to run is the Minnesota Vikings playbook. In my opinion, the best playbook, or best defensive playbook, I should say, in the game. Now, the formation that we are going to be going over is the 2-4 nickel right here. We're going to be going over the 3-3 single mug, the 3-3 double mug, and then we also got the 1-4 dime 1-4, and then we got the even 6-1. Now, I am going to be starting off in the single mug right here. Now, the first thing you want to do before you even get into the play is press triangle to go into your substitutions, and then sub in these edge rushers for the D tackles. Now, you're asking why, but just give me a second and I'll explain to you. Now, we're going to press circle to get out of the menu right here, and then we're going to press R3 to go into our coaching adjustments. Now, I like to have auto flip on. I like to have this on conservative, so my option read key to always focus on the QB on the option. Then I like to have aggressive, so we're going to focus on the pitch on the option if they run a pitch. Then we're going to go conservative on the RPO read key. We're going to focus on the QB on the, RPO read. And then right here, we're going to go conservative. We're going to focus on the pass coverage in the RPO pass key. This one is probably the most important. So those RPO read Y flats, those other RPOs and stuff like that, they're going to be focusing on the pass instead of going in after the running back. And then typically when I like to run my defense, I like to put my hooks on 5. I'm not going to right here, but that's what I like to do. And then curl flats, I usually just like to keep them default, unless it's like a big down or something like that. So if it's like 3rd and 20, I might switch my flats to 25, my curl flats to 20 or something like that. So then safety depth and safety width. Now this is very important. I like to have my safety depth on close. So just press left right here, and then my safeties will be in the box a little bit more. And then I like to run pinch for my safety width, just so my safeties, I don't get beat up the seam as frequently. Then we're going to press X to go into our 3-3 single mug, and then I typically like to run my cover 4 quarters, I like to run my Tampa 2, and then I also like to run cover 1 hole, my man coverage. Now, as you can see, we're in our play right here, just a standard cover 4 quarters match coverage, and as you can see, these safeties are way closer in the box than they really should be. Typically, they would line all the way back up here, and then sometimes you can even throw Deebo Samuel up the seam. Right here, what we're going to do, and one of the newest features in Madden 25 is the stunts. So what we're going to do is we're going to press left on our D-pad, we're going to press R1 on the stunts, then we're going to go back left, and then X for the Texas foreman. If you did not know, this Texas foreman is the best stunt in the game, hands down. And then we're going to see what happens when this ball is hiked. But when the ball is hiked, we're going to watch our edge rushers come inside, and then our pass rushers, our D tackles, pretty much go outside. Now, I'm not going to lie, somehow Derek Stingley just got beat right there. Now, to make this blitz even better, once you start getting the stunt down and all that, then you can spread your line to make it even better, and then you can pass commit. So press R1 and up on the right stick. And as you can see, right there was a perfect example, and unfortunately, we didn't even get the sack. So the reason why we have these skinny D tackles right here, these edge rushers, is because the D tackles, when, the regular D tackles, they're big, and they'll get in these edge rushers' way right here. And as you can see, we're going to loop around, and sometimes the D tackles will bump into my edge rushers, or it'll just be too congested. It's better with the smaller guys. Now, right here, as you can see, these edge rushers right here, so Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, one of the best duos in the game. Right here will come around, and that should have been a sack right there. I'm not gonna lie. Now, another tip about this defense is having fast edge rushers. As you can see, the Texans have 2 great edge rushers, and Will Anderson with 87 speed, which is absolutely insane. And then Danielle Hunter right here with 88 speed. They even have guys like Darrell Taylor that has 83 speed. Now, running the stunt right here, of course, it's going to have a weakness, and unfortunately, it's easy to scramble out against it. And as you can see, look at this stunt. So everybody comes in the middle right here. If, this was a real player right now, he would scramble out left and probably throw a pass, or, you could scramble out right, but left looks a little bit more clear. Now, cover 4 quarters, obviously, we all know it's a little bit of match, but my Tampa 2 right here, I love to be in a little bit of Tampa 2, just a cover 2 defense, but I don't typically like to run cover 2, especially against these wider sets. I like to run a cover 3 cloud or a cover 6. Now, if you don't know how to set that up, I'll show you real quick. But I usually like to put an outside third on my outside corner. So if you like to do it on the other side, you just do it on the other side. Then right here, I like to have triangle my slot corner in a curl flat. and then have my middle safety right here inside third. And then, you know, I'll just put a hook curl right here, and then obviously I'll just run my stunt or whatever. And this is how I typically like to set it up. I like to shade down most of the time. Now, our next defense up is our cover one hole, and what that is basically just our man coverage, just basically man-to-man coverage. And how I like to run this is I like to route commit. So press R1 to go in our route commit menu. If you did not know what route committing is, it's a Madden 26 new feature. So basically think of it like an aggressive type of man coverage. So if I think Deebo Samuel right here is going to run an like a corner route or an out route, I'm going to press triangle, I'm going to press X to go individual, I'm going to press Deebo Samuel, and then I'm going to press left stick to the outside. Route committing is a huge hit or miss. If you know, hit on it, your opponent, the receiver, will pretty much be bagged, but if not, then they could burn them by 5-10 yards sometimes. Now I'm going to run the stunt here. I'm going to, you know, spread my line a little bit. Then I like to add this linebacker right here and a hard flat. You can put him in a curl flat, doesn't matter. Then I like to run with the safety right here and just basically free roam. And that is almost a perfect example of the route committing feature really working right there. I've route committed inside, and as you can see, this guy Petrie right on his hip. Now, the other thing I forgot to mention is when you are in a play right here, and as you can see, it's X to run cover 4 quarters. We can hold the X button right here, and then we can go down and pick our stunt before we even get in the play. Now, our next formation up is the 3-3 double mug, the nickel 3-3 double mug, sorry. And once again, we're gonna go right in here and we're gonna put our edge rushers at D tackle. Don't forget that. That's gonna be for almost every single defense we can, so don't forget. I'm gonna go into my mid blitz here. I do love mid blitz in this game. I've been loving it for years, I'm not gonna lie. But right here, how I typically like to set this up, my man coverage aspect, I like to have 2 hard flats out in the field right here. And then I like to run the Texas 4-man. So right here, land the D-pad, R1, you can press X 4-man again right there. Or you can do a pre-play like I just showed you, and then spread the line again. So every time when you run the stunt, you do want to spread your D-line. It's just going to be a little bit better for you. It's going to have your pass rushers, your edge rush pass rushers are just going to have better angles to run. Now, as you can see right here, Jane Daniels easily running outside the pocket right there. But now another way you can run this is just sending 6 every single play. It is pretty aggressive. It is pretty easy to pick up. And it also is pretty easy to dot up. Someone can just slap a curl out there or slap a comeback. Another way I typically do like to run this is having a deep half. Then I like to man up well, since there's 2 running backs right here, I'll man up both running backs. Then I'll press, I'll route commit, and then shade down as well. So my guy's going to play underneath the route, and they're going to be playing aggressively inside. If you think they're going to go outside with it, then you can, you know, you're more than welcome to run your man coverage outside. Sometimes I like to run out here and try to press the tight end. Pressing isn't as good as it was last year, so I don't typically like to. I'll just use the safety right here and then guard anything, you know, outside. So if I shade inside, I'll try to lurk outside. So any corner routes and stuff like that. If I shade outside, I'll you know, usually just sit on this deep half and shade more inside to post and stuff like that. So, and right there is a perfect example of the man coverage working. So as you can see, the Danielle Hunter right here on the stunt, boom, clean. That is a perfect example of how fast it comes in right there. And as you can see, bro, I'm blitzing 4. I have 7-8 guys in coverage. As you can see, like what I'm doing right here, I know the corner route's coming. I'm going to shade my user a little outside right here and give my guy, you know, a little bit of leverage. And, you know, since I shaded inside, guess what? Terry McLaurin bagged right here. This guy is absolutely on his hip. Now, our 2-4 nickel formation right here, I'm going to sub in Aubrey again. I'm going to sub in Barnett right here. And then I'm going to click. Then I'm going to press L2 to go to my audibles. I like to have a cover 3 cloud. Of course, I love my cover 3 cloud. Cover 4 quarters, Tampa 2, and then Storm over Brave. I'm going to start in the Storm over Brave right here, though. Storm over Brave right here. Why I like it is because these blitzing linebackers sometimes will come in free, especially if your opponent's not expecting it. All right, right here, I'm just going to set up a quick zone look. And I like to pass commit. No stunt right here. Do not run the stunt. The stunt will kind of mess it up. And then I have this guy in a hook curl right here. And hopefully I can show a prime example of this linebacker coming in. So that's perfect. That's literally the perfect example right here. So right here, blitzing linebacker, number 45. The D tackle kind of goes inside right here. And as you can see, 3 linemen picking up 2 guys. And then the linebacker right here will come in free. I've been kind of messing with this right here. But let's say I only want to rush, you know, 4, you know, I'll have this guy in coverage, this guy in coverage as well. So I'll drop off Danielle Hunter. I think the guard then slides over and picks him up pretty easily. No, he actually doesn't right there. So that might be a good defense that you could kind of work on. If you blitz him every single time, 5 versus 4, they might slide their line all the way over there and be able to pick that up easily. But right here, as you can see, I only rush 4 right here. Have this Danielle Hunter guy out in coverage. So, you know, 4 people. and this guy right here will come in free. It'll probably let up the scramble towards the left side, but you can always just put a QB spy into a hunter. Now for our dime 1-4, press R3 to go into your coaching adjustments and turn off auto flip right here. Then I like to go down into my cover two man right here, and then I press R2 to flip the play. Once again, it's cover 2 man. And then the way I like to set this up is I like to have my linebacker right here. I'm going to shift my linebacker towards the left right here. As you can see, the linebacker standing right over the D tackle or the center. However way you want to kind of look at this. And I like to contain as well. So R1 and L1, and then, you know, man coverage. I'll route commit inside, do what I have to do. And as you can see, the linebacker on top right here will loop right in, and he will get the quarterback. Right there, he didn't really get the quarterback, but he was right in his face. Now, when you are running this over here, you do want to back up your linebacker a little bit, maybe a yard or two over. I find a little bit better success doing that. We have him 7 yards off, about 6-7 yards off, and a little bit towards the left of the D tackle. And as you can see, boom, he will come in clean just like that, and he should have sacked the quarterback. So basically, we're taking out of our edge rushers to put in our coverage linebackers. Then right here on the edges right here, we're going to have Will Anderson. We're going to have my boy Daniil Hunter right there. And then, obviously, we're going to have our D tackles right here. Now, obviously, in our 6-1 formation, we're going to be really focused on the Samuel blitz and the cover 4 quarters. I don't really like to run too much else. So we're going to come right into our cover 4 quarters. Now, right here in our 6-1, there is a Texas 4-man stunt, but I don't think it's as good as the nickel. We can try to spread our line, see what we can do with that. But you know, the Texas 4-man isn't that good out of this formation. We'll try to get a quick look right here. But as you can see, oh my god, wait. Why was that kind of good? The Samuel blitz is basically just man-to-man coverage, which man-to-man coverage at 6-1 is pretty underrated. It is pretty solid. And then when you also have a 6-man pass rush, and you're also mixing it in as well, it's going to be pretty good. So right here, I'll pass commit just for the heck of it. And then as you can see, 6 people versus 5. For some reason, that was not that great right there. Hopefully that's a little bit better. I'm going to spread my line. Maybe that will make it better. But that was pretty awful right there. 6 versus 5. I at least expect a free rusher at the quarterback, or at least hitting the quarterback. Yep, right there, way better. So I spread my line. It's a little bit better right there. If you're only planning the rush 5, so I'm going to show a rush 5 look right here. So if the tight end's on that side, I would always do it away from the running back. All right, that's my advice right there. As you can see, he kind of loops around the edge right there. Takes a little bit of a weird angle, but he's still free right there. But if you guys did enjoy the video, maybe learn something new, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, of course. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.